What is JCI and what is the nature of its field of activity?
JCI is the Junior Chamber International. It's the international non-governmental organization that is empowering young people to make the positive change. This change may consist of impacting your local community, the business, or it could also be the change in your personal development where you're developing skills such as, for example, project management, public speaking and debating, um, implementing environmental projects, and negotiating with partners, with authorities, meetings that you would have probably never held if it was your regular job or academic life. So the goal of JCI is to provide the safe space for testing new opportunities, meeting great people internationally, and help you in the personal development.
And what is the structure of JCI? Are there any specialized sub-organizations within divisions, national divisions, or even local?
JCI is an international organization that gathers country organizations from all over the world. So JCI's headquarters are in the US. However, the activities which are the most important and most impactful are held on the local level. So each local organization in a respective city would have its own activities that are of crucial nature for the local community. Those local entities are then associated on the national level, and they create the federations on the national level. And then those national organizations would meet on the regional level. So, for example, European organizations are meeting on European level and making decisions which are relevant for their region. Same goes for Americas, same goes for Asia and Africa. So those are four main regions where JCI has its activities, and therefore the decisions made on the regional level are transferred to the global level after a number of meetings and conferences during the World Congress, and also during the meetings held throughout the year between the representatives of the national organizations from different continents. So it's the unity of international organizations that cooperate on a daily basis throughout the world.
Speaking of the World Congress, could you tell us something about the JCI Impact Factor initiative? What it's all about?
Yes, it's a great initiative, fairly new, which shows what kind of impact JCI has on local communities and on members that create those communities. JCI Impact Factor is showcasing the initiatives and projects which are undertaken on the local level and also on the national level to give you the example of what kind of activities you can take as the active citizens, whether you are a member of JCI or not. And JCI is the group of almost 200,000 people who are united by similar values, similar principles. It is also the organization accredited with the United Nations. So the projects that we are realizing are held with the aim of implementing the global goals of sustainable development, which are set forth by the United Nations. And the impact factor shows how actually you can impact the environment, business, education, or any other goal that is set forth by the United Nations as important in the global community that we create.
So, while we're at the subject of local communities, could you tell us something about the scope of actions undertaken by JCI here in Poland?
JCI in Poland is in a very interesting phase of building its structures all over the country, building partnerships and getting engaged in completely new projects as well as continuing some projects that have already existed. some of the initiatives are focused on education and building the entrepreneurial spirit. So one of the upcoming initiatives is a training in Krakow, which is aimed at the startup community, where people who want to start their very first businesses or already have their business, but they are looking for the ways of improving it, can learn how to build a team, how to develop leadership skills, how to be persuasive in their presentations for their potential clients or investors. So the focus is on developing soft skills that will help you pitch your idea to third parties. The community in Krakow is very helpful. So also people who are not the members of the organization are getting involved, and they are giving their own ideas of how we can make this project even better and better. So they suggested that they could be mentors for this program. And I find this amazing, because this is what JCI is all about. It's about uniting people from all walks of life who want to achieve new things together, realize projects together. And the fact that people who are getting to know us are willing to join us and on a weekend in August during the summertime and want to be mentors of the program, or they want to be the volunteers for the program to help others succeed in their lives, I find it amazing. Other initiatives go towards environmental projects. We're now establishing new cooperation with people who are caring about the natural environment, and we're in conversation about building a partnership for the upcoming art festival, which will be at the Polish seaside this summer. And a part of this festival will be also environmental friendly contest, which will engage people in building artistic structures out of sea waste that we can find on the seashores. So this is to show that people might have the negative impact on the environment, but it's also up to us to remove this negative impact and work towards the better times.
You've told us what the JCI in Poland is doing right now. Could you tell us about the plans for the future?
Yes, we want to grow in terms of our structures, engaged in new partnerships, get involved in new projects, also with regards to businesses, innovation, education. So the foundations of JCI are about positive impact on the communities, and we're very open to new ideas and new partnerships with other NGOs, with local governments and corporations that can help us help others. One of the initiatives that we already are doing and we want to keep doing in the future is the charity cruise that JCI is organizing in Krakow for many, many years now. And it's about raising funds to help kids in foster homes and orphanages. And scaling this to other regions and other times would be a perfect way to go forward. Also, one of the projects that was inspired by JCI is a project called Speak for Your Future, which is about gathering volunteers who teach foreign languages to kids for free. And it's all about building bridges between cultures, languages, nations. And we would love to have this project to be present in more than one place, which was Warsaw so far. We would like to go with it broader and help more people.
So let's look at the broader picture for a moment.
Mhm.
You've told us of the plans of the JCI in Poland. Are there any general plans for the JCI as a whole?
Yes, JCI has been transforming its structures massively over last years and months, and its main goal is to become even more innovative and build more bridges to help communication and connection and collaboration amongst the young people all over the world, and especially in the local communities where they have the biggest impact locally. And JCI is all about empowering personal growth, innovation, business, and education. And it's definitely the way to move forward by engaging even more of the external actors into our activities. The core philosophy of JCI is to inspire confidence, unite communications, enhance equal opportunities, and also to ensure the cultural diversity. Diversity is a very important factor for us, and we understand it in a broad sense. We believe that diversity brings even more value and a better impact. So we are making sure it's present in our daily actions.
There's been a lot of talk about helping others, focusing on the community and the earth, but let's get a bit self-centered at the moment. What opportunities does JCI present to an individual who would like to join?
As the individual, you will most likely ask yourself, what's in it for me? Because there are so many other organizations that I could join, so why this one? And the answer is very simple. You get to know great people from all over the world that are united by similar values, and they want to work together and create a positive change together. By joining this global movement, you're able to establish great connections both on the personal level and on the business level. So by doing projects with other people who are inspired and are active outside of their, let's say, standard activities, you're strengthening the relationships that will help you go further. You train the new skills, you develop new skills for which JCI ensures you this safe environment to test them and develop them. You are sometimes thrown into completely unknown situations which are not always foreseeable, and sometimes they're completely unforeseeable. And this teaches you how to be agile, how to adapt quickly to new circumstances, how to communicate properly and effectively with people who are around you. That could be your team leaders, that could be your business partners, negotiations with authorities. This is the, let's say, testing ground for projects that you can then do in your other parts of lives, such as your business activities. So if you do have your own business, which you do not need to have to be a member of JCI, but if you do, then you learn how to lead your team, how to negotiate with your clients and gain new clients for your business, how to apply the principles of the smart and lean management and be very resourceful, how to persuade other people, how to manage projects and present the outcome of your research to others in order to be persuasive. So there's a number of skills that you develop. There is a great network that you develop, and also you get to travel all around the world and meet amazing people who are always sharing great energy. So it's really something unique.
We've talked a bit about the structure of the JCI and its projects. So it begs a question, do national JCI organizations operate solely on their own? Do they cooperate with each other?
The national organizations do cooperate with each other. There are certain international initiatives that are executed together amongst cities, countries, or even continents. One of the initiatives which was very visible in media in general was called Peace is Possible, which was initiated by one of the world presidents of JCI. Another movement that we are joining internationally is not JCI only, but JCI is part of it, is the day of cleaning up the earth to make sure that we show that it is up to us again to take care about the natural environment around us and to take responsibility and ownership for those activities that are taken or are not taken externally. Other projects may be of a different nature, such as conferences, international conferences, where representatives of various countries from all over the world are coming to one place to meet and then discuss how, as the community of JCI, we can create a better place and even more impact in the regions where we are present as the organization globally. Also, there are partnerships between countries, which are called twinnings. And there are also twinnings between cities, which are, let's say, in Poland and in Germany, or Poland, let's say, Finland, and so on and so forth. So those twinnings have the aim of putting people closer together, helping them to cooperate. And in this way, they're building a better communication. They get to help each other also on the level of businesses, visiting each other. It doesn't always have to be about business. Sometimes it's also about just spending time together and getting to know the other cultures. So definitely this kind of exchange exists, and it has a lot of different ways of being implemented, lots of formats.
So if there happens to be a project that is international and is an interest of two or more JCI organizations, how they actually cooperate? Do they operate as a sole entities that work together on this project, or does JCI create a sub-organization or less or more formal that is centered on this one project, say Project X, and it incorporates both people and resources of the certain national organizations?
We like to simplify structures rather than building up structures. So for those kinds of projects, we would rather create a project team than a separate legal entity. So if we are thinking about the international cooperation, we would typically find a person who is the project leader, who could be either a volunteer or someone who is elected to be the leader of the project. And then this person is encouraging other countries to join those activities that they are responsible for. And ideally, each of those countries should appoint the local coordinator or the national coordinator for that respective project. So the organization committee would typically be a virtual team. They typically don't need to meet in person for most of the time. Obviously, if they're about to organize an event together, there would be a point where they would meet in person. But the beauty of the contemporary cooperation is that we can work remotely for most of the time, and this helps us to build the communication also between the countries.
There are a lot of projects and a lot of work in JCI, so it begs the question, how does JCI finance itself? Are there any membership fees or other sources of finance?
We are, in principle, an NGO which is focused on activities and engaging people into the projects that we realize. So whenever we're talking about financing, it's usually a very symbolic amount of money, which helps us cover the basic costs. And one of the ways of financing our activities are the membership fees. Each local organization will set the fees respectively for themselves in the amount which is feasible for the local members. And another source of income would be sponsorships, partnerships, or if there is a training event or another interesting event that could be also open to people from outside of JCI, those events might be subject to tickets or additional donations. So donations, sponsorships, and partnerships would be another way of financing the organization. However, in general, budgeting and financing are not the main focus of the projects, and therefore our partnering organizations are very often happy to work with us on a non-cash basis. So sometimes if a location is needed for an event, we're partnering up with someone who can provide the location and thus also gain some more visibility amongst our community. So the financing can be also cashless in that regard.
So on the subject of membership fees, let's talk how one becomes a member of JCI. Are there any requirements at the start for the applicants, say profession or education level?
Each local organization can decide how they want to proceed with selecting the future members. The basic requirements for the organizations all over the world are to respect the age criteria. You can become the active member of JCI if you are at least 18 years old, and you can continue the activities in JCI until you're 40 years old. You may also be associated with the organization on more of the friendly and partnership level, even outside of this age range. And this will mean that we will very often support the organization. You could mentor members of the organization, but you would not then have the active functions like in the management board. The point of this age criteria is that we want to empower young people to make the positive change, and in order to give them the space, the safe space, and the room for development, they need to feel that there is no one telling them what to do, that they have their own way to experiment through the new experiences. And besides that, local organizations can require you to run a business or showcase your other involvement in volunteering organizations. But most of the time, the main criteria will be whether or not you're committed to becoming a member of JCI. Have you actually participated in activities and projects undertaken by JCI in the community that you want to join? And the level of your involvement and commitment will be typically most decisive factors for becoming the member. So we do not have a requirement of having a specific graduation level or a experience coming from a specific country or either or a market sector. We care about who you are as a person and how much you care about what we do.
We've talked about the national divisions of JCI. So, is it possible for one to join another country's JCI organization? Say I'm a Pole, so could I join an organization in Africa, for example?
If the organization in Africa that you want to apply for agrees, yes, you may join this organization. It will make sense for you to do this if you're visiting this organization or have any ongoing connection, because JCI is all about actually doing things together and making the positive change and positive impact together. And you don't always need to be in the same place, same time throughout the entire year in order to stay the member of JCI. But it makes most sense to be formally admitted as the member there where you actually can contribute to the local community. So that local community where you apply to will decide whether or not they can accept you amongst the members of their team.
So there's a lot of things that JCI does, and there's a lot of things that it does internationally. So with whom does JCI work? Are there any international organizations that cooperate?
Yes, of course. JCI has over 100 years of history. So it has built a number of partnerships over all those years. And one of the partnerships that we are very proud of is the official partnership with the United Nations. Another one, which is concluded on the global level formally in the form of contract, is ISEC, which is our partnering organization with very similar structures and values. However, it is open for people who are much younger than our regular members. So people who have gained experience in ISEC, they often are looking for options to continue their involvement in their activities and meeting more of the great people, having more experiences, especially in business. So once they may no longer be active in ISEC, they will join JCI to continue their actual involvement. Also, each country has built its own network of partnerships, and those can be partners such as universities, companies, local authorities. Same goes for local organizations, they might have their own networks. So depending which part of the world you're looking at and which level of the organization you're looking at, you will find the variety of partnerships and relationships, cooperations that come with JCI, which helps you whenever you want to go to another city, another country. You can always contact JCI there and ask, hey, do you know someone there? Because I will be traveling and I would love to meet for some business meetings with regards to the topics XYZ. And those partnerships are very helpful in that regard.
So let's talk for a moment about how does JCI work, how it realizes its goals and projects. So how does it do it? For example, does JCI work by sending specialists to work on some projects, or does it support them financially or in other ways?
First of all, JCI is all about people. JCI, that's people. And our activities involve our members and our partners who want to become a part of our movement, our philosophy, and the impact that we want to create. And depending on the project, yes, we might have experts joining the specific subject and discussion or actually coordinating a project. But sometimes it's actually the other way around. Some projects are meant for people to learn how to proceed, and they're meant to give people a challenge that they need to join in order to develop their skills. Because by yourself, you can only go to a certain level. And typically, you would need some additional motivation to go beyond what you already can. So JCI is also the environment which might push you beyond the boundaries that you already know and put you in a completely new role. And I have actually heard stories from other members who said, you know what, I am a biochemical engineer and I would have stayed on my scientific path all the time if it wasn't for JCI that taught me how to become a part of projects, how to work on the team, how to communicate in my projects and in other situations. And because of that experience in JCI, I was able to take over the managerial position in my job. And like this, I'm combining my scientific knowledge with the managerial experience which I trained in JCI. So this can go both ways.
You've told us that JCI is first and foremost about the people and it helps people to be active, to pursue their goals. So does JCI have any political or philosophical agenda? Do any people can any people join, or are there certain restrictions?
Um, our philosophy is to be open-minded and not to stand for any political views. So whenever there is any discussion on a forum, we're keeping it neutral in terms of politics. We don't want to get involved in those kinds of discussions as the organization globally. Obviously, each of the members has their full right of having their views on the world in any domain they wish. It's just we're focusing on becoming better versions of ourselves, helping other people do the same, be better versions of themselves, help them improve their living conditions, their sanitary conditions, health conditions. And that's our main philosophy, to create the environment where people can develop for themselves and create a positive change also for others. And we believe in diversity, we believe in inclusion, in respect, and in the ongoing education for the young people. So this does not really classify as any specific political path. We just are focusing on how to help others and the world that we're living in.
Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.